Welcome to FDS MTG News for Friday, November 3rd, 2023. Bank of America and Hasbro are on the outs again. Despite their brief makeup during the summer, when Bank of America upped their recommendation of Hasbro stock from neutral to buy, they have decided to take it back to neutral again as of October 27th. Referencing Hasbro's poor performance in almost every intellectual property except for Wizards of the Coast, and the fact that Wizards cannot maintain the exponential growth required to keep the company on its upward trend, Bank of America has downgraded Hasbro from buy to neutral. I still maintain that there's a Bank of America executive out there somewhere, sitting in their office on a pile of reserve list cards that's just pissed at what Wizards has been doing these past couple years. You may remember a few years back when there was all this talk about a Netflix show about Magic the Gathering. You may also remember that nothing else has been said since then. But apparently the show still lives despite what all of us thought. As Hipsters of the Coast reported, Chris Cox stated in an investor call that Hasbro will continue to be involved with movies and television, specifically citing an animated Magic series with Netflix. But that's about it, but it's nice to know they're still working on it. We have breaking news that there will be product delays for the Lost Caverns of Ixalan. In an article on the Magic the Gathering website, Wizards of the Coast announced they expect collector boosters to be delayed for pre-release weekend starting on November 10th. They stated that they anticipate the product to start arriving in stores during the week of pre-release. Since they didn't state a specific market for the collector boosters, it is probably safe to assume it means worldwide. In North America, the Lost Caverns of Ixalan Commander decks will be available, but in limited supply during pre-release weekend, and they expect that they will become more available after the official release of the product on November 17th. As for the reason for these delays, they say production issues, which could mean anything. Sort of like how I tell my boss I slept in. It could mean a lot of different things, sleeping in rarely the actual reason. Our next story is how your collection of cards are an absolute mess and you need to go to MTG Cave to get some ingenious products to help you clean that up. Seriously, you have March of the Machine cards in the same pile of Streets of New Capenna. And while, yes, it does seem like they were released basically back to back, I have some news for you. They were released in completely different years! So get that collection figured out and go to MTG Cave today. Link in the description down below. Use the code FDS at checkout to get 5% off, and it helps out the channel. Thank you so much. Mark Rosewater admitted on Blogatog that Marvel is his dream crossover, and he helped design some cards for it already. For those unaware, Mark Rosewater is a massive Marvel movie fan, so it comes as no surprise that this crossover was such a big deal for him. In another post on Blogatog, Mark Rosewater addresses concerns about universes beyond eclipsing the Magic story and essentially overtaking it. He responded, "There are a lot of important business reasons to keep making in-universe Magic sets. To prove the point, I just need to reference one of our previous stories about the Netflix TV show. Can't make a show like that if what you're working with is someone else's intellectual property." Having a marketable IP is like having a money-making machine in your laundry room. It's not something you're going to give up easily. Our final story today is also from Blogatog. Told you I'd be pulling from it a lot, but I do think it's worth bringing up. Mark Rosewater addressed the backlash of the price of limited events effectively being raised due to the pricing of the new play boosters. His answer that you can see right here on screen is one of his longer comments. Typically his answers are a sentence or two at most. I will link the post in the description down below so you can read it in full, but I will break it down for you. Business is gonna business. Okay, that was a bit too broken down. Let me back up. It basically comes down to draft boosters as we knew them, containing one rare or mythic, 3 uncommons, a buttload of commons, and a basic land, and maybe a foil every half dozen packs, wasn't selling. The set booster, on the other hand, with the chance to pull up to 4 rares or mythics and a guaranteed foil, was selling very well. We as consumers voted with our wallets and said we would pay more for a pack of cards that gave us a higher chance of getting more rares and foils. And WotC wanted draft and sealed to survive. While we limited players are not the biggest portion of the fanbase, we are big enough that Wizards is incentivized to keep us around. They decided to make the set booster draftable, while also maintain its ability to deliver on a higher chance of pulling multiple rares and foils in every pack. We've already shown we're willing to pay extra for that, so no business is going to take a price cut on that product out of the goodness of their hearts. Yes, Limited is going to be more expensive starting with Murders at Karlov Manor, and yes, some folks are probably going to stop playing for that very reason. But the alternative would be Draft and Sealed going away. Everywhere. For new sets anyway. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. That about does it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Welcome to FDS MTG News for... It seems Bank of America is still predicting Hasbro has a bleak future with its most recent It seems Bank of America is still predicting Hasbro has a bleak future with its... and that Wizards cannot maintain the exponential growth required to keep its company... to keep the company on its upward trajectory. I still maintain that there's a Bank of America... America? I still maintain that there's a Bank of America executive. I just need to point you to one of our previous... To prove a point, I just need to... It basically comes down to draft boosters at It basically comes down to... In another post... Mark addresses concerns about Universes Beyond getting too... Wizards of the Coast announced that it is... Wizards of the Coast?